a Spanish Baroque Revival masterpiece constructed in 1927. Every year, millions of passengers fly into Midway International Airport. How many of them realize that they're landing in the backyard of one of Chicago's most underrated neighborhoods? What's good, YouTube? It's Louis Gusto. Welcome back to Chicago. Today we're in Clearing on a cold winter day. And in this film, we're gonna go on a tour of the neighborhood. Is there more to Clearing than just Chicago's Midway International Airport? Keep it locked to find out. Go ahead and finesse that like button and let's go on a tour of Clearing, Chicago.
Doors closing. This is Midway.
Clearing is community area 64 out of 77 and is located on the southwest side of the city, about 10 miles from the Loop. Neighborhoods that make up this community area include Chrysler Village, Clearing East, and Clearing West. The West Lawn and Garfield Ridge neighborhoods are located nearby, and Garfield Ridge combines with Clearing to form the nickname Clear Ridge that some locals have given this area. The village of Bedford Park is also a stone's throw away. Clearing has very well-defined borders. 59th Street on the north, the railroad tracks just east of Cicero on the east, 65th Street on the south, and Harlem on the west. To get to Clearing, fly an airplane into Midway International Airport, but if you don't have your pilot's license or it's temporarily suspended, you can also take the CTA Orange Line and get off at the Midway stop. Buses that serve the area include 55A, 62H, and 63W. Unfortunately, there are no divvy stations in the neighborhood. What's up with that, divvy? But you can find some divvy stations in nearby West Lawn. All right, it is lunchtime, so we are at Mom and Dad's Deli. They've been a Clearing staple in the community for over 30 years. I got one of the most popular sandwiches. This is the Italian sub. It's so good. All kinds of meats in there. Lettuce, tomato, onion, some Italian dressing, and some seasoning. Let's go. That's a good sandwich. On any given day, weather permitting, you can stand in Clearing and watch airplanes fly in and out of Chicago. But rewind back to the city's early days, and this was all wilderness and hunting grounds, a portion of which belonged to Long John Wentworth, the tallest mayor in Chicago's history. He stood at 6'6", as tall as Michael Jordan, and he built a house near what is today 55th and Harlem. After Long John met up with his ancestors at the crossroads, his family leased this land to German and Dutch farmers, and shortly after, it got its name from a proposed railway switching yard, aka a clearing. The railway switching yard was the brainchild of Alpheus Bede, aka A.B. Stickney. Not a bad rap name. Although it was never built, eventually miles of railroad tracks would be laid through Clearing. At just 0.65 acres, Nottingham Park is one of the city's smallest, located at the corner of 63rd and Nottingham, just east of Harlem, which is the western boundary of Chicago. In contrast, Hale Park is Clearing's largest at almost 17 acres, complete with gymnasium, tennis courts, baseball diamonds, and a swimming pool. Hale Park dates back to 1913 and is named for American patriot Nathan Hale. In the early 1900s, industrial zone land in Chicago was becoming increasingly expensive. Meanwhile, Clearing had a surplus of available land. Thus, the Clearing Industrial District was born. In 1912, Clearing became a town within the township of Stickney, and about 3 years later, most of it was annexed to Chicago. Would you believe that the land that Midway is built on once belonged to Chicago Public Schools? In 1926, CPS leased it back to the city for the construction of an airport, and the following year, Chicago Municipal Airport was dedicated. For 3 decades, it was the city's busiest, even after O'Hare was built on the northwest side. In 1949, it was renamed Midway to honor U.S. victories at Midway Island during World War II. And speaking of WW2, around this time, Chrysler, the car company, built a factory out in Clearing to assemble B-29 bomber engines. Continuing the Chicago tradition of worker towns like Pullman, they commissioned Chrysler Village. Chrysler Village is a collection of single-family homes whose 30,000 plus residents found work at nearby Midway Airport once the war ended. It rejects the Chicago grid system that surrounds it in favor of winding roads and a park in the center, recalling the idyllic 20th century vision of suburbia. Seriously though, this is a cool little neighborhood that you should definitely come and check out for yourself. All the homes are beautifully designed in the 20th century arts and crafts architectural style. All right, we just made an afternoon stop to Churro, that's with an X, and as you would imagine, their specialty is churros, so of course I had to get a churro. I also got a black coffee, no cream, no sugar, y'all know how I do. It's that afternoon caffeine pick-me-up. Churro has been in Clearing for about 2 years, but they have locations all over the city of Chicago, so there may be one near you. Check the map. Nice and sugary, crispy, doughy on the inside. You can get a filling, and they have all sorts of flavors. Cheers. This is the Midway Hotel Center. Technically, it's located just outside both neighborhood and city limits. It's actually in the village of Bedford Park. But in case you're in the Clearing neighborhood due to a layover or a flight delay or cancellation, hey, the Midway Hotel Center may have you covered. These are the ruins of the Crane and Moreland building, a Spanish Baroque revival masterpiece constructed in 1927. These terracotta spires stand as a reminder of what should have been a Chicago landmark, instead demolished in the 2010s due to FAA regulations. Okay, estamos en pupuseria. They specialize in pupusas. It's a Salvadorian griddle cake made from cornmeal. These are handmade and made fresh to order. Got some cheese in there. I got 4 pupusas, all vegetarian for all my vegetarian heads out there. Y'all are always asking me for vegan and vegetarian spots, so there you go. So believe it or not, this is actually my first time having pupusas. They taste like arepas to me, but obviously these are a little bit bigger and they're filled with cheese. I got the bean one, I got the zucchini one as well, and they're very, very good. Actually, the bean one so far is my favorite. The cheese is super duper melty. It's almost like a mozzarella or a white cheese. I'm not sure, I didn't ask what type of cheese. Coleslaw that goes on top, the curtido, that's also very, very good. It's very vinegary, so if you like that type of stuff, which I personally do, it's a lot of them. So I'm not gonna be able to finish these all in one sitting for sure. Did you know that Marshall Fields once had a restaurant at Midway? It was called the Cloud Room, and you could get your grub on while watching planes land and take off. Keep in mind that back in the day, this was a big deal. It was like the 1930s version of HBO Max and Chill. American and United Airlines once flew out of Midway, but in the 1960s, O'Hare, having recently added international to its title, passed Midway as Chicago's busiest airport. And by the way, if you love Chicago and other city neighborhood guides, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you catch all of our films. No visit to Clearing is complete without a stop to La Petite Pastry 2. They're serving up pastries, cookies, and coffee cake. They don't sell it by the piece, you have to buy the whole coffee cake, but trust me, it is worth it. I had to pick one up for me and Arissa to share before I headed back to Lincoln Park. They're a Clearing staple located on 63rd and Central. Midway remains one of the country's busiest transit hubs. Meanwhile, Clearing is one of Chicago's most underrated neighborhoods. It's mostly residential with some beautiful homes, cool eateries, and is linked to downtown Chicago via the CTA Orange Line. Clearing has gone from a small town with a railroad-themed name to Chicago neighborhood world famous for its international airport. Talk about a glow up. Peace and blessings.